She has got one of the highest mark in this year's geography optional.
This was my third attempt. I had joined a test series with Prince Sir. So this is, I would like to basically sum up my preparation of geography optional.
Hello and welcome to UAL IAS YouTube channel. Today with us is this year's one of the geography optional topper, Rupal Srivastava. Rupal has secured All India rank 113 with geography optional. She has got one of the highest mark in this year's geography optional. She has scored 273 marks, 135 marks she has scored in paper 1 and 138 marks in paper 2. And in fact, it was the geography optional score who has helped her to get the one of the good rank in UPSC. So on behalf of Evolve IAS, I would like to congratulate Rupal Srivastava. When we have invited Rupal to share her journey about the success in this UPSC, so she readily agreed. So I would like to invite Rupal to share her journey to my student, to all the students who are preparing this examination with geography optional and also in general. So over to Rupal.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. I would like to briefly introduce myself once again. My name is Rupal Srivastava, and this year I have secured All India rank 113. I had geography as my optional subject. This was my third attempt and the second mains which I wrote with geography optional. I would like to slightly break up my marks and mention it to you that I had a score of 135 in paper 1 and in paper 2 I had 138 this time. A slight introduction about my educational journey. I am an electronics and communication graduate from NIT-Jamshedpur, and I have also worked at the Tata Motors, Pune for a year. After that I resigned from my job and I went ahead with full-fledged preparation for Civil Services Examination. Now moving on to my performance this year. This has been the score of 2022. Last year I had a score of 220. This was in 2021. The marks for 2021 were 220, splitting of this. Now first of all, let us discuss a few things about how we should be proceeding with the geography optional. The first things first is that we must have the syllabus in mind for any optional, and now particularly about geography optional, the syllabus is the key for preparation. And splitting the syllabus into both the papers, the first is paper 1 where we have core conceptual questions of geography, and paper 2 which is generally the applied part specifically to India. So I will share my strategy for both these papers separately, and how did I go about it, how did I prepare, we'll be discussing it in detail. Now moving on to paper 1. There are few things which I had kept in mind, that paper 1 is very essential in terms of core concepts of geography. If we look at the chapters of paper 1 like geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, biogeography, etc., or for that matter the part 2, human geography, population and settlement, regional planning, models and theories, perspectives. So these are few topics which require a lot of conceptual clarity, and they must be prepared thoroughly, because these are those topics which will fetch you almost direct questions, direct in terms of what is the theory, what are its merits, what are its demerits, or explaining a process of mountain building, etc. So for paper 1, what is the key is to focus on the core concepts. Now how to prepare for paper 1? The first thing is that I had done a basic foundational course in my geography. So that is something which helped me build the base for paper 1. For those who are wishing to prepare on their own, I would recommend you to refer the reference books of Savindra Singh. And I did not refer a common book of Savindra Singh. I rather went ahead with separate books for separate topics like geomorphology by Savindra Singh, oceanography by Savindra Singh, and so on. For the human geography part, I had referred to book of Majid Hussain, and for models and theories, there were certain books like Sudipta and Adhikari, and that also helped in perspectives chapter. So few of my reference books which I'll tell for paper 1 is Savindra Singh and its individual topic. For part 2 of human geography, we had Majid Hussain, Adhikari. For perspectives. So these are few books from which we can cover the basic syllabus of paper 1. As I said, for paper 1 physical geography part, what we need to focus is on understanding the process in detail. Along with that, having a proper diagram representing the processes with flow charts and everything. So this is something which is going to help greatly in paper 1. The third thing which we must keep in mind for paper 1 is having a list of important geographers, important models, important theories, in what background those models and theories were brought, what is their present relevance, and these things which are to be prepared. And also schools of thought. So these are some of the core requirements of GS paper 1. Now once we have done this, we should also be supplementing, like if you have a basic notes, the class notes of these topics, you should supplement it with these reference readings and thereby prepare summary sheets. Summary sheets is in the form of a very consolidated notes where you have written the important points from the GS notes class, and also you have added the relevant examples, relevant diagrams, flowcharts, models, geographers, etc. And you have made one A4 sheet note for every topic which is mentioned. For paper 2, sources, apart from any basic notes if you are referring to from any foundation, there are certain books which will help you in this. The first is Indian Geography by D.R. Khuller. This will cover most of the parts of Indian geography which is mentioned in the syllabus of paper 2. Apart from that, for paper 2, what I would request is be very thorough with the current happenings of the newspaper, because this is a very dynamic paper. It is mostly an applied part. So what you need to be aware is what are the changes which are happening. For example, in context of urbanization, if we see the questions are coming with respect to decongestion, with respect to satellite towns, with respect to transit-oriented developments. Now the idea is that for these topics, the concepts will be prepared from paper 1. But what you have to do special in paper 2 is you have to cite local India-specific examples. And not only India-specific, although the paper is very particularly about Indian geography, you can also have a comparative study with some of the global examples. For example, for conurbation, we generally compare the bow wash of USA with upcoming conurbations in India. So this is a very small thing to quote right now. So what I would refer is having good examples. Now in examples, what has to be kept in mind is these examples should not be those traditional examples which everybody is going to quote. You can have some of them, but these examples should be very dynamic and related to recent events. For example, for watershed. Now watershed is a thing in which most of us quote the example of Ahmednagar. Now that is one of the classic examples, but what you need to focus is some of the recent watershed based initiatives which have happened. For example, in Bundelkhand, we have an example of revival of Noon River, etc. So these are very regional and local examples which are catchy. This shows that you are updated with the current knowledge. The third important aspect in paper 2 is you should have inset maps. Or regional maps. What do I mean by inset maps or regional maps is, for any question on Indian geography, if it is related to a particular region, you need not draw big maps. Like if this is your answer sheet, it is not necessary that you draw the entire map of India and mention places and everything. Why? Because this seems like you're filling up the spaces. Rather, prepare regional maps or inset maps. That is, you should actually be in your answers, you should make a small box, and suppose you are citing an example of Run of Kutch. So just make the map of that region. So you should be going with, as I mentioned, we should be practicing regional maps. Now why I am mentioning it in terms of preparation is that once you will collect good amount of these things when you are preparing the topics, when you are preparing the syllabus, it is then when you will apply these things in answer writing. So this has been the major part of how we will be completing the syllabus of both GS1 and GS2. Primarily, if you have notes, you should refer to it. If you do not have notes, go with the reading of the reference books which have been mentioned, and there you can have your notes prepared. And properly making the summary sheets, that is, you should have the notes along with addition from the book, any example or any special point, etc. Now one thing is which you need to focus is about reading the newspapers. The importance of newspaper for optional is generally neglected by most of us because we feel that it is generally for GS, but for optional also newspaper reading holds good importance. Why so? You will get the regional examples which I am talking about, the latest examples which I am talking about from the regional pages of the newspapers. For example, if you will read the pages of Delhi or if the South India pages, you can have some classic examples of climate change affecting the Western Ghats, or you can have examples of landfill sites and pollution which is taking in and around Delhi NCR. So for these regional examples, you should have a tab on the newspaper and pick these topics and make a gist of it, have a diary, make these points in note so that you can apply it as and when possible. After all this basic note making and everything is done, now you have to understand that how your geography preparation or answers will be different from a regular GS geography preparation. The major difference which will be added in your optional is about the conceptual clarity along with quoting of important thinkers, important models, important theories, also inset maps or satellite maps. So these will reflect the depth of your study, which differs from a general GS student. Now coming on to the most important part of preparation is about answer writing. Because even if you have done everything, notes, summary sheets and everything is prepared, if answer writing is not addressed properly, it will eventually not yield any result. So answer writing is the most essential part of geography preparation. Now for answer writing, there are few things which I would like to suggest. The key to practicing answer writing is referring to the previous year questions. In geography, or for that matter in optionals, I would say, the previous year questions reflect a lot of common trends, repeating trends in the paper. So you can have a previous year question book along with you while preparing. Now how do you use the previous year questions? So whichever topic you have prepared that day or you have revised that day, you should actually be referring to the previous year questions of that topic. Read the question and try to frame the answer. You will not get the best answer in the first time. Probably you will get the worst answer the first time, but that doesn't matter. What matters is you have to get into the practice of writing down your thoughts once you read a question. What comes into your mind? Whatever you have studied, are you able to summarize it? Are you able to understand it? Are you able to apply it into answers? That is something which should begin once you read the question. Your brain should start functioning in that sense. So with the previous year question, what you can do is have the question, start writing the points. Now once you have written the points, then you should be working on creating a basic framework from those points, which can be developed into a meaningful answer. By a meaningful answer, I mean it should have a structure, introduction, body and conclusion. So for answer writing, the first thing is PYQs. Theme wise. PYQs should be practiced theme wise. As I said, whichever topic you have completed, refer to the PYQ of that topic and try to jot down your points. How you should approach is, jot down the points, whichever question it is mentioned, whatever you are getting in your head. The second thing is framework. Framework means dividing your points into IBC, introduction, body and conclusion, and then you can have a proper meaningful answer from it. This is something which you should be doing with previous year questions. You might not get the best answers initially, even bad answers, but if you continue this practice, you will eventually see the improvement in the coming time. How do you evaluate your previous year questions is something which is a doubt of all the aspirants. Now see, for previous year questions, you might not get any regular evaluator. I did not find personally. If anybody has found, that's a good thing, but I did not. So for previous year questions, what you should be doing is sit with your own answers. You write the answer, sit with it and analyze your own answers, like what could have been improved in terms of the points or in terms of the framework or in terms of getting a meaningful answer out of it. For previous year question, you have to basically follow a cycle of continuous improvement of yourself. You write the answer, you sit with it, you analyze it, you assess it, and then eventually in the second round of previous year question practicing, you will see the changes. And then after this assessment and analysis, you should be moving towards the importance of a test series. Because see, it is not feasible that you will be able to invest a lot of time in all the previous year questions, and also your own assessment of your answers can be a little biased at times. Like you will feel my answer is the best every time, but it will not turn out to be eventually. So it is important that you refer to a test series. The importance of test series is, first of all, it will give you a disciplined schedule of writing answers. Secondly, you will also have feedback and mentorship in the test series, which will help you improve greatly in your answers. I had joined a test series with Prince Sir. The benefit which I got actually was I could contact Sir personally, having a mentorship with me with my answers, where I could discuss my test papers with Sir frequently, and this eventually led to a lot of improvement. I still remember the first few tests which I gave, my score was in 115, 18, 120s, etc. But eventually it improved, and as I stand today with a good score, decent score, so that was obviously a chain of improvement in my marks. Now with the test series, the first thing is you should there are a few things in mind. Joining a test series and using a test series for preparation, they are two different things. Don't just join. I would say use it to the best of your preparation. And by using it to the best of your preparation means completing the tests like I had 12 tests and I wrote all the 12 tests within those 3 months time. If not possible, at least try to do 80%, 80 to 85% of the tests should be written by you. Why? Because it will give you the practice of time-bound answer writing, instantaneous thinking. Like you read a question, you hardly have 10 seconds, 15 seconds to organize your points and you begin writing. So that is something which you will develop by completing the tests on time eventually. The second thing is you need to assess the test yourself. The coaching institutes or mentors, they will analyze your test. That's a very good thing. They will give you a feedback. They will suggest you everything. But what matters is you also have to sit with those feedbacks and you have to see. You have to understand what went wrong in which answer, or what am I doing wrong, where I can make improvements. For example, in my first test which I wrote, as I said, I used to draw very big maps. Now drawing big maps has two demerits. I found out that I could not complete the papers on time, missing out on the time, missing out on the important things. And secondly, it also conveys an impression that you're just dropping page fillers. So that is something which was highlighted in my first test, and thereby I eventually improved. I started drawing inset maps, satellite maps in the tests to come. Secondly, with the test series, you should also be seeing that you are able to apply the concepts which you have studied properly. In the test series, in that time-bound situation, you are trying to put in those concepts and ideas. Analyzing your tests and putting the ideas. And the third thing is you should also see relative improvement in the subsequent tests. So this will actually show whether you're going on the right path or not, whether you are studying it, you're applying it. See, that's what I said. Studying is just one part. Writing it into answers in that time-bound manner, in that pressure situation, that is the thing which is going to change or make or break the game for you. So this improvement in subsequent tests is a kind of feedback for you. Whatever I've studied, whatever I'm applying, that is actually giving me something which I needed in my preparation. So this has been a game changer for me in this attempt from the previous attempt, which has helped me boost my scores. Now coming on to specifically what approach did I change from my previous year to this year, especially for those like who have already written a mains, who are seeking to improve their marks. Changes in my two mains. For paper 1, the first major change which I brought was to supplement every answer of mine with a diagram as and when it was needed. Especially for physical geography part, you should be having a good bank of diagrams. The second thing which I added was names dropping of places. Now getting these names, for example, if you have an example of Ayers Rock of Australia, so you should be name dropping that rock whenever there's a question of landform. For landform, what do we feel is that we'll just write the explanation and diagram and go ahead with it. That's good to a great extent. But if you drop the places, if you drop the names of places, especially across the world, why? Because this is paper 1. So places across the world. Should be written as examples, not just India specific. ऐसा नहीं that you are using the examples of paper 2 in paper 1. Some examples are obviously applicable, but not to a great extent. For paper 1, you should have good amount of examples across the world. The third thing is be very thorough with your thinkers, models, and perspectives. Because this is one thing which you can apply across the paper, across the topics of paper 1. And this actually reflects the depth of your preparation in geography optional, especially with these 4 conceptual papers. So these were the 3 major changes which I introduced in my paper 1. For paper 2, the first thing is obviously inset maps. Or regional maps. Dynamic examples. From the recent events, from the recent places. And interlinkages. Now this is the most important part in paper 2. Why do I say it? Because paper 2, for most of us, we have a perception that it is a kind of GS paper. The questions obviously will be of GS type, but you do not have to write an answer from the GS perspective. The answer specifically should reflect that you are a student of geography option who knows how to apply the principles and concepts of geography in those simple questions. Now, how do you develop these interlinkages? This again, what you have to do is you have to use the concepts of paper 1 in paper 2. In explaining the question of paper 2, I'll tell you with an example. For example, if you have a question on urban planning, congestion and decongestion, or congestion of the prime towns, the primate cities, and how are they affecting the neighboring areas of India. Now, you can have this question in paper 2. How you will use it is, you will first of all, you should be having good examples from India where you can show this problem of congestion, decongestion, etc. And then you should refer to certain theories. For example, you can refer to the theory. First of all is obviously have an example, recent examples of congestion, slums, congestion. For example, like we quote the name of Dharavi, we quote this NCR Delhi congestion. So these should be ready with you. But the second thing, which is how you are interlinking paper 1, is you should use the names and theories like primate city, cumulative causation by Gunnar Myrdal. So whenever you're writing the answer of paper 2, it should be very specific to India. It should have recent examples highlighting the problems and solutions and everything. But that answer should be supplemented with certain theories from paper 1. This will actually reflect that you understand the core concepts of geography related to that problem, and thereby you are applying it in your answer. So this is what I mean is by developing interlinkages. Now interlinkages are also not just one way. Like it is not that you will just be able to apply concepts of paper 1 in paper 2. The interlinkages are also vice versa of paper 2 in paper 1. That is, once you run out of examples of world, you can also use the examples from India. Secondly, you can have a comparative study for any issue which is being discussed in the context of world in paper 1, world human geography. You can compare it with the scenario in India, either in a better way or a worse, whatever be the comparison. You can use such type of comparisons, and this will actually help you in improving the quality of your answers to a great extent. So this has been one thing which is very essential in writing answers, which you should be trying to incorporate and use it, and you will eventually see a change and improvement in your marks in the preparation of geography. And as I said, it is not just about preparing the syllabus. That is obviously one part. It is more about practicing the questions from the previous year, from the test series. Not just practicing it, analyzing your questions, your own performance, your mistakes, your strong points, your weak points. And third thing is about developing interlinkages. And also to add it, I would just say one more thing. There are certain topics in paper 1 which have a good overlap with paper 2. That will actually help you in developing effective interlinkages. For example, paper like topic like regional planning. It is very closely linked to regional development and planning. This is one. The second thing is you have population and settlements. Population and settlement. These are the topics which can be studied collectively. Like you do not need to prepare separately GS1 and GS2. You can have a holistic note of all these things so that you can use it, swap it easily to and fro in both the papers. So focus on these topics also. Like there are certain exclusive topics which you will prepare it, that's good. But for these topics, have a combined preparation. This will actually help you. And there's also one more topic like economic geography. This can be very well linked to agriculture, industry, TTC, I mean trade, transport and communication. So these are the parts which will actually help you. And so this is, I would like to basically sum up my preparation of geography optional. You can feel free to contact sir or even me on any platform for your doubts. So this is what I had to share regarding my optional preparation, and any doubts and queries you can always reach out to me. Thank you.